Well, hello everybody, I am Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular, and in this video I have some of all of our favorite silver to collect and to stack. It is United States junk silver, 90% silver, constitutional, whatever you want to call it. I love it. I think a lot of you love it. Many countries had their own form of junk silver. So if you're not in America, hey, you might be able to find some of your own country's junk silver. Well, hello everybody. I seek to educate and entertain through my journey of collecting coins and stacking precious metals. I encourage you to subscribe and please stay with me on this journey. I am Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular. It's probably not the same exact alloy as the United States, or it actually could be, depending on what you have out there, where you are located, but everybody has kind of some form of it. But anyways, for the purpose of this video, I'm talking United States junk silver. And I call it junk silver. You call it whatever you want to. That's what I love calling it. And, if you don't like it, don't call it that. Call it whatever you want, man. Call it lovely silver from outer space if you really, really just must. Anyways, here is some of my junk silver collection right here in this box. What I love doing, I don't know if you all do this too, is I'll take some of my silver and I'll just set it away and I'll forget about it for months. In this case, I don't think I've touched this box for well over a year. And then you just open it up and it's like a new silver. It's like you've never seen it before. It's like an old friend just waiting for you to come out and play with it. Junk silver, if you didn't know, if you're new to the whole game, I mean, that's cool too. I've talked to everybody on this channel. Pre-1965 United States half dollars, quarters, and dimes. They are junk silver. They are 90% silver, and we love them. We love this stuff. It's fractional, right? Because you have different sizes. These are not an ounce piece, each one of these is half dollars. This is less than an ounce, so it's fractional. It's divisible. You can just kind of use this instead of chopping up your silver rounds into whatever you had to in a situation where there's an economic collapse or something like that. You need just a little bit of money, right? You don't need a whole, dollars worth or whole crazy amount of silver. You just need like a little piece right here. Maybe that's your loaf of bread and a couple of bananas or something like that. And here you go. Here's my money. In that kind of situation. But this stuff is great. I love the dimes for sure. I have some dimes right here because that's like as small as it gets for the United States Constitution. Constitutional silver, I should say, junk silver. It's just awesome. And by the way, if you were curious how it works out to actually have an ounce of this stuff, here's some quarters right here as well. If you have $1.40 face value, so like a half dollar, the face value is 50 cents. If you have $1 face value, that's about an ounce of silver. So for instance, 2 half dollars and 4 dimes, $1.40 face value, that's 1 ounce of silver approximately. 14 dimes, that's going to be your 1 ounce of silver. Or 4 quarters and 4 dimes, again, $1.40 face value, or 1 ounce of silver. That's just kind of the quick breakdown. If that makes sense to you, then awesome. If it doesn't, just kind of stay with me. We'll talk more about different things. But I'm kind of curious, is this still the route to go? Because when I was buying a majority of my junk silver, I was getting it at like $10 per $1 face value, which is the typical way of buying this stuff. For instance, 4 of these quarters right here, 4 of them, or $1 face value and quarter, because each one is a quarter of a dollar, that would cost me $10. 10. For the most part, I was buying it probably closer to $11 or $12, but there was definitely enough times where I was able to buy it at 10. I wish I had more money then, but unfortunately I was a broke dude just trying my best to stack as much as I could. But really, it's only a few years ago if you really consider how long ago that's been. Anyways, I want to look at the internet just real quick because prices have gone up. As you can see, this is coinflation.com, by the way. Great website. You have some junk silver. You're curious about the price and put your different amounts in. It's easy to use. But anyways, on Coinflation, I put 2 Walking Liberty half dollars in here just to kind of see what the value is. As of the making of this video, you're looking at close to $22 an ounce for silver. But look at the total silver value of just these 2 guys right here, $15.88. Now that's only silver value that has no premium involved right here on Coinflation. That is just based off of the spot price. So again, like I was saying, back in the day when I was buying these right here, 2 of these cost me only $10. And that was with the premium included. This right here is not premium included, $15.88. I actually went to J.M. Bullion's website. The cheapest junk silver that I could find that they have right now, and I'm sorry if they have cheaper that you find, this is the cheapest I could find right now, was 4 quarters, so $1 face value again, for $20.84. So according to the spot price, that's about $5 over is the premium. And that's the killer, is it not? Because that's not even an ounce of silver. That's the hard part to swallow, is that when you're buying junk silver right now, back in the day, you actually made off better by getting junk silver because of the premiums were lower. You can get, an ounce of silver technically for lower than you could with other, like a regular silver round. It actually costs less. And so it was just like a big time benefit to go into junk silver. Right now, it's exceeded that. It's gone way over what it would cost for just a cheap ounce of silver to get into junk silver. Now, it still has all the benefits, right? It is a currency. It has a quarter of a dollar on there. You could use it as that worst case scenario if you really had to. My goodness, I'd never want to do that. Kind of like using a silver eagle for $1, right? Nobody's going to do that or wants to do that. But it's also, it's fractional. It's recognizable. It's easy to identify. You just look at the dates, man. If it says 1964 or prior, you know it's 90% silver. Typically, you can also look at the edges, and you can see the edges are like a silvery color instead of that clad look that new quarters have. It's easy to identify. And it works on Sigma Metalytics, the precious metals verifier. It also works in the ping tester too. If you have like one of these right here, you can actually ping these coins. I'll show you real quick, briefly, just to show you. Didn't plan on doing this, but here we go. You get one of these. This identifies based on the sound of it, if it's real or not. And you can use an app on your phone, Precious Coin Tester, which right now I heard is free still. And you can use that in conjunction, and you can identify if it's silver or not. And if it wasn't silver, if it was some other metal, it would make a different sound. Usually if it's just like a clad piece, it just makes more of like a thud. But silver has that beautiful ring. But now let me put it back. Let's focus back on my box there for a second, because that's where the meat and potatoes is, on the silver box. But is it still the king? That's the problem, isn't it? I don't think that junk silver, unfortunately, has all the same benefits that it used to, because some of the biggest parts that I loved about this stuff was how cheap it was. And now I don't know if just everybody's getting on board. I don't know what happened, but there was this, the levels got changed a little bit to where junk silver now has a extreme premium compared to other things. And a lot of times when we stack and collect, we, if we're stacking, we want the best bang for our buck, right? We want the cheapest silver that makes the most sense. Sometimes fractional makes sense, has a little bit more of a premium, and we can justify it because of that. But man, it's getting harder and harder for me to say, this stuff is the best silver out there. And I've made videos like that where I talk about, junk silver being the best possible silver you could ever buy because of the cheapness, the fractionability, the fact that it's recognizable. It actually is currency. It has so many, positives. Now, one of those positives is kind of gone there with the price, is it not? Also, one of the big negatives on junk silver is that we talked about how you can make out what an ounce of silver would be out of these, right? $1.40 face value. Well, let me show you this real quick. This is one of the biggest negatives to this stuff, and is why I recommend that if you're going to buy junk silver, maybe you should try to stay focused on like newer, series, like your quarters, your Washington quarters. There's other quarters too, like Standing Liberty, but your Washington quarters, and these are Mercury dimes, but your Roosevelt dimes, because there's less wear and tear. They were out there being circulated far less than like these right here, from the 40s and 30s, and sometimes 20s too. These Walking Liberty $half. Now they're iconic. They're beautiful. They're great looking. I love them. It's one of my favorite pieces of junk silver to collect, just because of how awesome they look and just how they make me feel inside. But one of the biggest problems, and I think I need to get to grams actually. Let me try to find my mode here. Why is it not working? Probably because it's some cheap thing that I bought from Amazon. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and set it to zeros. And this right here should actually be 12.5 grams. That's how much it should weigh, but you're going to see what happens when I put this on there. It's 12.1. It kind of teetered over to 12.0, but I think 12.1 is fair. So it's 0.4 grams shy of where it should be. And when we start getting into newer coinage, let's see if I have any here. What is this? Here we go. So here's a, not all that much newer, but these are better condition right here. These are Franklin halves. I'm going to use one of these because these are a little bit less worn out compared to this. I'm going to show you the difference in weight. And this is what I'm talking about because you're paying this premium, but a lot of the weight in silver is gone. 12.5, it's on the money. That's where it should be. So it doesn't seem like a big deal when you have one, right? But typically, you'll buy these more than one usually. I mean, you're buying them at least two because that's a dollar face value. But I like to buy them in rolls when I buy them. And a lot of times when you buy them online, that's when how you see them. You see them in large rolls. Let me put this back up there real quick. But let me try to find what a roll would be, which is actually 20 coins. So let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, that's 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, so I was one over in my tube. I do that a lot of times, which is something I need to do if I ever go to sell my junk silver. I need to actually make sure that I have tubes of, how they're supposed to be stacked, which is quarters need to have 40 in a tube, dimes need to have 50, and half dollars should have 20 in a tube to make up $10 face value, to make up $20 face value, and to make up, I'm sorry, $10 face value here. Excuse me, I overspoke. And also $5 face value on the dimes. There we go. So, again, one of these right here, what does it come in at? 12.1. So a whole stack comes in at 244.2. And according to the calculator, let's see what it should be. We're going to do 12.5 times 20, which is $10 face value. And it should be 250. So as you can see, I'm like close to 6 grams short right here. And it really is silver content going away. I mean, it's wear and tear over the ages. Depending on what you get, if you have barber dimes, you start to see that wear even more to where it comes down. It's almost, negligible on nicer coins and better coins like Roosevelt dimes, which is why I've always recommend doing Roosevelt dimes. But here, those are Mercuries. I thought I had some barber dimes. I probably do somewhere. Again, I forgot what I have. Here's some Roosevelt dimes, which I think is the better thing to collect right there because they weren't worn out nearly as much. Also, Kennedy halves. Kennedy halves are great because 1964 is when those started getting the 90% ones, and almost all of those are in pristine condition. In fact, let me count 20 of these out because I want to do the same test. This is all over the place, this video. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Excuse me. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I was short. Oh, because it's still in the tube. Nobody's going to say anything about that? Get out of there. All right, there we go. Boom. All right, 10. All right, so let's turn this back on. Again, that should be 250 grams. And we're going to turn you back on there. And let's see how close this is compared to those Walking Liberties. 249. So you see the difference between the newer coins? It's significant. And, that might not be an issue right now because we still buy them as, just face value. Nobody, at least companies that sell them or buy them, they don't seem to care about the silver content. But there may come a day when the world just gets so crazy and ridiculous, as we've seen it going, that it's no longer where they say, oh, it's good enough just as the coin or as just in face value. We can actually weigh the silver content inside. So your silver could be worth a little bit less in the future, potentially. I'm not saying that I'm a mind reader, or not a mind reader, but a fortune teller. But that's something that could, very well happen. it could very well happen to where we end up having to weigh our silver eventually. I mean, didn't they do that back in the day in the 1700s? They were, weighing this stuff. Pieces of 8 were chopped up and stuff to make the right weight and the right sizes, and maybe that happens in the future. Who knows? Who knows? But you know what? Just for fun, let's get back into this box just for a second, because I'm kind of curious what else is in here, because I forgot. I've got an empty bag. Why do I have an empty bag? All right. I totally forgot. Here is a mix lot. So actually I need to go through these because I have some tubes up here now that I need to fill up. So these will help me with that. So let's put those there for a second. What are these? I feel like I had a plan for some of these and then I just never got around. And some of these bags actually represents probably me going to a store or even me going to a bank and asking for $50 or whatever the case may be. And this could have been what I found in the rolls or what I bought at the time. Just little pieces here and there. Here's some war nickels. These are 35% silver. Easily identified by the large mint mark above the Monticello building right there. Actually, I probably can't see that. Let me get one out. Usually they're very dark toned, the wartime nickels. And they just needed the nickel metal for wartime efforts. So they exchanged the nickel with silver, and we have 35% silver nickels. Now, a lot of people think that like pre-1964 nickels automatically mean silver, and they actually even have a silverish tone that some of those will get, but that's not the case. It's just the wartime nickels with that large mint mark above the Monticello building that you're looking for. Real easy to identify if you find that mint mark. And here's some more. Yeah, I need to make some tubes up. I think I actually have probably enough to make full tubes here. Here's some mercury dimes. Let's just go through these real quick. I'm sure I've gone through these a million times, but the value that's here is crazy to me. Crazy. Maybe I should add them up a little bit here in a second. This might actually be the Barbers. Oh, let me look. Come on, get out of there. Oh, yeah, it's Barbers, and there's a lot of them in there too. And these are real worn down. I mean, the Barbers are almost slicked out. It's hard to tell, but that thing is just thin. It's not supposed to be that thin. It wasn't when it was first minted. But man, the test of taking it around and using it and putting it in people's pockets and walking around for a while, it kills the coin over time. Some of my favorite coins right here are the Standing Liberty quarters. And I try my best to make sure they have the date on them. Can you see that right there? So right there. Later in the series, they made it to where that area right there was kind of down into the coin more like incuse in that area, which helped the date to remain. But the earlier series, most of the time, it was just worn in that area first. I mean, that was like the big wear area was the date. And so you see a lot of those coins that are dateless, and it's probably from the earlier coins in the series. But if you can find a coin from early in the series with a date, those are generally automatically pretty valuable. Here's some really nice Franklin halves. Wow, look at that. These things have some shine to them. Yeah, I don't want to mess with those. What else? These are probably quarters. Yeah, more walking libs. And I'm sorry, Standing Liberty quarters. What am I saying? I'm losing my mind over here. And you know why? Because I've got silver fever. And the only cure is to get more silver. Here's some more Standing Libs. I'm at this, thought in my head of like, hey, can I justify buying more of this stuff? I got a decent amount now, but do I really, really need to get more when the premiums and prices are where they are? Are prices coming down? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a fortune teller at all. And I mentioned that earlier. Actually, I meant to say, that I couldn't tell the future, but I can't do either. I can't do that. I mean, I'm not that guy, unfortunately. I'm not going to pretend to be. I'm not going to be that guy on YouTube that tells you that, silver's going to go to $1,000 an ounce. So hold on as best as you can because here it comes. I'm not that guy. I'm the more, rational guy. I'm not lying to people. I'm not telling you something's going to happen. It's not going to happen. Could it go to 1,000? Heck, who knows? Who knows? But I don't think it's happening anytime within my lifetime. Here's an example of dateless Standing Liberty quarters. And you can see how that area right there doesn't have that NQs to it. It's just kind of flat. And then the date would have been right on top of that area right there where the statue or Lady Liberty is standing. But you can see these are all dateless. And sometime early on in my dealings with constitutional silver, I was finding a few of these right here. And I didn't really try to pick these up usually, but if I happen to get like a handful of coins and, you know, these came with it, I guess. A couple times buying online, there were deals and advertisements that they were supposed to be full date standing Liberty quarters, and then they wouldn't be. They would actually be like partial dates, or they would be to where they had no date at all. And all the places that I dealt with online, when I mentioned that to them, they were easy to deal with and they returned them no problem. You see a lot of Mercury dimes in my collection. Mercury dimes are a fan favorite among people who collect junk silver, and you know I love them too, but I think that Roosevelt dimes are probably the better way to go generally, just because of the amount of silver content still in them. And they usually look a lot better too. But now you can find some rare dates if you kind of go with the Mercuries. I found some nice ones. I think I have one somewhere. That's probably too... I'm looking over my collection right now, but I think it's probably too dug down deep right now to where I can't get to it. If it was on the surface, I'd show you, but I found a real nice condition, you know, one or two going through dimes, and you know, every now and then you can find that 1916D, right? No, I've never found one. That's the key date of the series. That's the real nice one. Or 1921 would be real nice to find. Oh, and then Walking Libs, my favorites. My favorites. Whoa! Jeez, I'm dropping them. That might mean the tube is too full. But you know what? I'm not going through those right now. I was just kind of going down memory lane. Like I said, it's been a minute. It has been a while. You miss your old familiar friends, but you know, sometimes they're waiting just for you to open up the box. Here's some nicer Kennedys. Still have some luster to them. Not bad, not bad. Good to see. What's in here? Everyone's a mystery. That's what I like. Walking Libs. And I think that what I had done back then when I was doing this box was I was trying to keep them kind of separated by dates, so like 20s, 30s, and 40s on Walking Libs. So you might see that being done. I don't want to break them all out of each tube. Oh, look at these ones right here. You know what these ones are? Barbers. These are hard to come by right now. Actually, I was at a pawn shop one day, and I asked the guy, you know, hey, do you have any junk silver? And he's like, you know, he didn't go, oh, you mean constitutional? No, he's like, oh, junk silver? Yeah, I got you. And he pulled out giant old like canvas bags full of Barbers. It was Barber dimes, Barber quarters, and Barber half dollars. These things right here that I just showed you. Full, loaded to the brim, and poured some of them out to show me that that's what was all in the bag. And I was like, first of all, I'm thinking to myself, darn, because I only brought like $200, my man. Like, you know, my wife was in the car waiting for me, which she typically did. You know, when I went to these little shops, she would be in there probably with the kid, kind of, you know, in the back seat, trying to keep them, you know, easy and not crying too much while I was in there trying to just get a little investment in our little portfolio, so to speak, you know. And I was like, hey, like, here's $200. I can come back later with more. And he's like, yeah, sure. Well, you know, things happened, life happened. I couldn't make it back very quickly. When I did have some money to come back, I'd go back to that pawn shop. Guess what happened? Out of business. Out of business. And I guess, I don't know exactly why or what happened. I mean, maybe it was some shady dealings, but a lot of pawn shops in that area were just going out of business over and over and over again. Just boom, out of business, out of business, out of business. Here's some Barber quarters. These are pretty cool too. I just don't like collecting a whole bunch. If I see them in a pile, I will pick them out. But you know, when you try to buy these right here, like in big lots of them, there's no, you know, rare dates most likely. Somebody already took those out. But you get them, they're so slicked down. I mean, it's just worn down to death. And back to how I was talking about the weight of them, you really notice that there's some significant wear to these older coins. All the Barber coinage, just about, when you buy them in lots, the wear on them is just so significant. Some more 20s on the walking libs. Here's a story real quick. I actually went to a bank one time and asked, hey, do you have any half dollars? And the lady was like, oh, yeah, I have some. And I'm like, cool. And she had like, I think a handful, right? Not even enough to put into a roll. And she gave them to me through the window. Of course, I paid for them. And, I'm at the drive up window. And boom, right off the bat, I was looking through them. There was a Walking Liberty $50, and it was in the 20s. I forget the exact date now, but it's definitely in the 20s. And I showed it to her. I was like, oh, yeah, look at that. Thank you. And she goes, oh, yeah, you're welcome. And then she showed me some quarters, like some just regular Washington quarters. She's like, I have quarters too. Do you want those? And I was like, no, I don't want those quarters. Now thinking back, I wonder, because she's a bank teller, right? She knows what she's looking at. She knows that she's seen something that she doesn't always see when she saw that $50, especially being a Walking Liberty $50. Did she have silver quarters and she was trying to tell me that she had silver quarters? And did I miss an opportunity to get some of those from her? I don't know. To this day, that bothers me. I should have just taken them, and then if I didn't find anything, I should have exchanged them later. But that's one of those things that haunts me. What about you all? Do you have things that haunt you in this hobby that you're like, man, I just really, really regret? I really regret. I swear that one day when I was at another pawn shop, I seen a 1928 peace dollar. Right, that's like one of the keys to the series. And I didn't jump on it. It was I swear it was what I'm saying it was. And it was in like a pile of other ones. And I didn't have the money for it, right? And I was like, oh, I'll come back. And when I came back, it was gone. But I was like, man, how did that happen? How did I miss that opportunity? Anyways, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Here's some 20s again. I'm making a total mess of this. I thought at one point, what are these? Oh, barber dimes. Little barber dimes in there. I thought at one point that I was going to just keep all these right here in their flips, but they really do take a lot of room in this box. I could probably just remove these and put these in tubes, and it probably would be better off. Most of these are not anything special. It's just how I bought them. Sometimes I would go into shops and they would either have, maybe they would have a tube full of coins like this, or maybe they would have only their coins and flips like this, or maybe they'd be in a large bucket. I remember going to some shops and they had like a large, like 5-gallon bucket loaded just from top to bottom with junk silver. And it just depends on how I was buying them. If I got them out of the bucket or I got them in a tube, then they probably went into a tube. But if they were in these flips, they usually just stayed in the flips. One thing I will say, that if you don't have a good way to remove humidity from your safe, then what you'll find is that these staples right here will actually start to, if you're living in a humid environment like I do, they'll start to rust. So you don't want that rust to translate and start dirtying up your junk silver, because it could do that, especially if the staples are close enough. So I will say that make sure the humidity level in your safe is in check. Get a little humidity gauge, and usually they have like a humidity and temperature on the same gauge. But if you're curious about what I use for that, then I can definitely let you know, and probably do a separate video, because I found some are better than others for removing humidity. But yeah, in Florida, that's something that I deal with. Wherever you are in the world, it may not be an issue. That looks like it might be a proof one. There was actually a time when I got some of these, and they were in proof condition, and they were just on top of a bucket. And the guy was like, yeah, he dropped off a whole roll of these things. We took them out of the roll and put them on the bucket. And oh, look at that side right there, though. It's got the sneeze on it. Oh, this side right here was so pretty, too. Darn it. It brings back memories, I tell you what. Oh, look at that. It has a sneeze all over it. You might be able to get some of that stuff off if you were to dip it or something like that. I'm not a dipper. The next person that buys that might find extra value in that, but not for me. I'm just going to keep it as is. Man, that looked pretty on one side, though, didn't it? These actually look pretty, too. These are in somewhat decent condition. Usually, if you're really trying to get some nice Franklin halves, you're looking for the full bell lines right there at the bottom of the bell. And right here, all these different lines. You look for nice condition first, nice luster, and then look at those bell lines. If you see the bell lines going through all the way, and every bell line showing up perfectly, yeah, man, little extra bonus for you right there. Here's something right here I found. I think I've already showed this off before, but I was actually looking through a bunch of junk silver coins in a bucket at a pawn shop, and I found this right here. It was actually a love token. So kind of cool. And what people would do back in the day is if they, maybe wanted to show their loved one that they were thinking about them, or maybe they were off to the military or whatever like that, and they had some time on their hands, maybe they would carve this out, or maybe they would have a jeweler do it, and they would just carve the initials of their loved one in it and give it to them as a token of their love. And it became quite popular, the fact that people were doing this right here. Could I flatten these staples? Yeah, I could flatten these staples, but as long as I just don't slide them around on each other, it should be somewhat fine. Should be. Right there, look at that. Look what I was paying right there. $4 for a quarter. So what does that mean? $4, $8, $10, $12. That was $12 face value at the time. Not bad, right? And now you're looking at, what did I say, $20, $20-something face value, closer to $21. And that was a decent price right there, what I found on JM Bullion. They've been going up and down from there for sure, and you could probably find better prices. You probably find worse prices. But it's crazy what's out there. Oh, what's this right here? Did I look at those yet? More Franklin halves. More Franklin halvies. So how much value is here? Well, let's not mess around with all the ones in the flips, because that could take me a while. But let's put just the halves together, and we'll use coinflation to try to determine what the value is. So first thing I should do is let's go ahead and back up, and I'm going to take this number out of there. Oops, can you see that? Can you see what I'm doing? Probably not. Okay. Where's it at? There we go. Okay, so let's assume that all the halves, even though they don't have it, the halves don't have, let's assume that they're all 20 in a tube, right? Let's just assume, for the sake of trying to determine the value. And I'm just going to do the halves only, and then we're just going to move on from this video. Because I think at the end of the day, it's kind of not the same buy that it used to be. And so I want to say, oh, you got to still go out there and buy constitutional silver, 90% junk silver, whatever you want to call it. You still got to go out and buy it. But man, it's getting harder and harder because of those premiums. Still has a lot of benefits, but now it's got some downfalls too, being the price. And, like I said before, the silver content on a lot of them being a little bit more reduced is an issue, is definitely an issue. But anyways, that's just me trying to give you my opinion right there. It's a risk right now, I think, with constitutional. Still cool, still iconic, still historical, but not as good as it used to be. Let's be honest. All right. Again, I'm going to assume that there's 20 in each one, and we're going to calculate how much everything's worth. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20. Is that it? 40. I got plenty of partials, but we won't do the partials. We'll just do the ones in the tubes that we actually have available right now. And again, we're not going to do the ones in the flips. We're just going to do these right here. So 340 is what we're going to do. So what I do is I go to coinflation and I move this over. And again, Walking Liberty, Barbers, Franklin's, Kennedy's that were 1964, they all have supposedly the same silver content. They're supposed to be the same weight, et cetera, et cetera. We know that the ones that are worn out differently, they're going to have reduced amount. But we're just going to put 340 in here, 340, to see, because it says enter number of coins, 340, Walking Liberty, and it's going to tell us how many ounces are in 340 coins. And it's also going to tell us the kind of value, silver value alone. So we're going to do that right now. Here is the silver value alone, $2,699 for what you see right here in half dollars. Move them up, sorry. There you go, boom. And that's just the silver content. Now, when you go to sell these, you make out much better than that because of the premiums. Premiums are, like I said, killer on those. So we'll keep this page up right here. How many ounces? 122 ounces and 340 silver walking Liberty dollars. So over 100 ounces right here in this pile. So that's pretty cool, right? But I want to actually go to, just for funsies, let's go to see what they would charge you. All right, so I have 340 of the coins, but they're selling it for $1 face value when they sell it on the thing here. So I needed to divide my 340 by 2, so that's 170. And we'll add to cart, and we'll kind of see what they're working with. So there's your price right there with, kind of covers more of the premiums. So although this said, how much again? 2,699. You can see that right here, when you actually put in that amount, because of the premiums, you're getting more. 4,375 is what it would cost you. But I actually went to eBay and look at the price right here for junk. That's about the lowest price I can find, is about $21.60 plus shipping too. They add shipping per dollar face value. So man, craziness, right? Kind of crazy. So it's actually not so far-fetched, this price. The premiums are so intense. Luckily, that's not just, when you buy it only, those premiums. A lot of places that when you sell this stuff, you're getting premiums back on things like this. You're getting premiums back on junk silver. Depending on how crazy it had been there, you're getting premiums back on almost everything. But, American Silver Eagles are known for how when people buy them from you, you get some premium back. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough. I love the collection that I have accumulated, but you notice on this channel, you're not seeing it grow too much beyond what I've already shown. One thing is I've already got a decent amount of junk silver, so it's like, how much more do I get? I do want to be like Smog the Dragon, where he was just laying on a giant pile and, gold, just, don't touch me. This is my gold. I'm just going to sleep here, for sure. But when the prices are so crazy, I almost just can't justify it anymore. It's just, it's scary. It's scary right there. But yeah, if I had to guess, I'm probably sitting on maybe 200 ounces between the box. Here's another little bit right here. Between the box and a couple things I have on the shelf, maybe 200-ish, maybe some more ounces of junk silver. So it's a good enough little collection right there. I'm pretty happy. And just tell me what you think. Tell me if you think it's still the right thing to do to buy this stuff, or if maybe there's other stuff out there that are kind of wiser to get into right now, because it just seems like right now the premiums and with the price increase, it's hard to justify this stuff. Anyways, maybe after some time, maybe a couple years or a few years, whatever, we'll come back and we'll see if I bought any more junk silver, or we'll see the prices of it, and it'll be fun, kind of a little bit of a documentary over time, and just over time to see how it's been going. Anyways, I gotta go for now. Appreciate you for watching. I don't think I can move this to see my name. Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular, and the Junk Silver Stacular is, knocked him over, out.